Some people listen to your words. Sigma empaths, they listen to your energy. They don't just see what you're showing, they sense what you're hiding. It's not magic, it's mastery born from surviving emotional storms. They've been the healer, the listener, the one who carried everyone's pain. And through that, they developed a radar that never turns off. A Sigma empath can look at someone once and know if their smile is real, if their motives are pure, or if they're about to manipulate. It's not about judgment, it's awareness. Quiet, precise, and almost unsettling. Their gift isn't loud, but it's sharp enough to cut through lies and soft enough to protect those they care about. When you've spent years understanding emotions to survive, reading people becomes instinct, and emotional transparency in others becomes a form of truth you can't unsee. This is why Sigma empaths are often misunderstood. They seem calm, detached, or even mysterious, but in reality, they're reading every room like a book they've already finished. If you've ever felt like you see through people more than you want to, you might just be one of them. Subscribe to Brainy Empath for more deep, emotionally intelligent insights into your rare kind of awareness. And tell me in the comments, when was the last time you felt someone's true emotion before they said a single word? Emotional pattern recognition, reading energy, not expression. For a Sigma empath, emotions aren't random, they're patterns. While most people listen to words, a Sigma empath listens to frequency. They don't just hear what you say, they notice the half-second delay before your smile, the sudden tension in your shoulders when you're lying, the micro shift in your tone when your truth slips out. To them, energy speaks in patterns that never lie. It's as if the world moves in emotional codes, and they've spent their entire lives learning to read them. This isn't learned through comfort, it's a skill forged in survival. When you've grown up having to sense danger before it arrives, or read sadness hidden behind laughter, you develop a sensitivity that becomes second nature. The Sigma empath doesn't chase meaning in words, they chase it in consistency. If your energy doesn't match your expression, they feel it. They can sense when someone's "I'm fine" vibrates with quiet despair, or when "I love you" feels more like control. They see the unseen patterns of emotional behavior, the ones even the person themselves might not notice. That's why people often say, "I feel exposed around you." It's not because the Sigma empath is trying to invade anyone's privacy. It's because authenticity and alignment, or the lack of it, are instantly visible to them. They see through repetition too, the same excuses, the same cycles, the same emotional scripts people play out unconsciously. To the Sigma empath, these loops aren't confusing, they're data. And once they've recognized the pattern, they rarely unsee it. That's why they often go quiet, not because they're overwhelmed, but because they've already figured out what others are still trying to understand. This level of perception can be both isolating and empowering. It allows them to connect deeply, but also forces them to detach when the energy becomes toxic. They know that emotions leave fingerprints, and they read those prints like maps. It's not magic, it's awareness sharpened by pain, refined by observation, and balanced by empathy. To a Sigma empath, reading people isn't a trick, it's a language, one written in the rhythm of energy itself. Survival intuition, the gift born from chaos. For the Sigma empath, intuition isn't just a feeling, it's a survival mechanism honed through years of emotional turbulence. While others learned social cues from observation, they learned them from necessity. Maybe it started in a home where moods shifted like weather, or in relationships where love and manipulation were the same mask. To survive, they had to sense tension before it exploded, silence before it turned cold, and kindness before it became conditional. Over time, this awareness sharpened into an internal radar that never truly turns off. Their intuition doesn't shout, it whispers. It's that quiet voice that says something's off here long before the truth surfaces. And when it does, they rarely need proof. Their body feels it first. The tightening in the chest, the subtle discomfort in conversation, the heaviness that follows certain people. They may not be able to explain why, but they know who is safe and who is not. That's what makes them appear almost psychic. But what others call a gift, the Sigma empath knows came from surviving emotional chaos. This survival intuition becomes their compass in every environment. They can walk into a room and instantly sense tension in the air, knowing who's pretending and who's truly present. They pick up on emotional inconsistencies, the way someone's eyes shift when they're hiding guilt, or how laughter covers unease. It's not judgment, it's protection. Their system learned to read people not out of curiosity, but because their safety once depended on it. Yet this awareness comes with a cost. When your mind is trained to detect emotional danger, peace can feel unfamiliar. The Sigma Empath often struggles to relax because their intuition keeps scanning, analyzing, and protecting. But as they mature, they learn to use this instinct not as armor, but as wisdom. Instead of reacting to every energetic warning, they start discerning which battles are worth their attention and which deserve silence. And if they're silent, their survival intuition is both their defense and their guide. It's the invisible force that kept them safe when no one else did. And now it leads them through life with clarity others mistake for mystery. To the Sigma Empath, intuition isn't a superpower. It's the memory of everything they had to sense before they could finally feel safe. Listening between the lines, decoding emotional frequency. When a Sigma Empath listens, they don't just hear, they absorb. Every word, pause, and breath becomes part of a hidden message only they seem to perceive. To most, conversation is about what's being said, but to a Sigma Empath, it's about what's not being said. They catch the tremor in someone's voice when they insist they're fine, the way laughter feels slightly off key, the milliseconds of silence that hang after a question no one wants to answer. They don't listen for words, they listen for energy, for truth, for intent. It's not that they want to read between the lines, it's that they can't help it. Their mind automatically translates tone into feeling, feeling into understanding, and understanding into insight. When someone talks to them, it's like hearing two conversations at once, one verbal, one emotional. The words tell a story, but the energy tells the truth. And once the Sigma Empath feels that truth, they can't unfeel it. That's why they often go quiet mid-conversation, not because they're uninterested, but because they've already processed more than most people realize. This ability to decode emotional frequency makes them powerful confidants and dangerous adversaries. You can't fake authenticity around them. They'll sense the dissonance instantly. A Sigma Empath can tell when affection hides an agenda or when kindness carries an expiration date. They don't expose people outright. Instead, they let their awareness guide their next move, distance, silence, or detachment. They don't need confrontation when truth already speaks louder in energy than in words. But this gift also isolates them. While others engage easily, the Sigma Empath must filter what they feel because feeling everything can be exhausting. They hear pain hidden in jokes, fear cloaked in pride, and loneliness buried in confidence. It's not easy existing in a world that speaks in masks when your mind only understands transparency. So they learn the art of selective listening, not to ignore, but to protect their peace. They don't listen to reply. They listen to understand what people are truly saying beneath the noise. Because for the Sigma Empath, the real story is never told out loud, it's felt. And that's where their silent strength lives, in hearing what others can't even admit to themselves. Empathic mirroring, feeling what others suppress. When a Sigma Empath connects with someone, something extraordinary and often invisible happens. They begin to mirror the emotional energy of the person in front of them. Not intentionally, not as a performance, but as a deep, instinctive synchronization of feeling. It's as if their heart becomes a translator for emotions others can't express. You feel anxious, and suddenly they sense the tension before you even realize you're holding your breath. You say you're fine, and their chest tightens in quiet disagreement. The Sigma Empath doesn't just read emotions, they feel them. And in doing so, they hold up a mirror that reveals what others are trying to hide. This mirroring isn't manipulation, it's understanding on a soul level. They become what's needed in the moment. Calm when you're chaotic, strength when you're fragile, silence when you're overwhelmed. They unconsciously match your emotional frequency to help you feel seen. But this gift carries a heavy cost, because while everyone walks away feeling lighter, the Sigma Empath walks away heavier. They've absorbed what others release, pain, fear, insecurity, and must now process it alone in silence. That's why they need solitude like oxygen. Alone time isn't isolation for them, it's detox. It's where they untangle what belongs to them from what they've absorbed from others. It's where they remind themselves that compassion doesn't mean carrying everyone's emotional baggage. Through this process, they learn to mirror without absorbing, to understand without losing themselves. That balance between connection and containment becomes the essence of their emotional mastery, becomes the essence of their emotional mastery, becomes the essence of their emotional mastery. What most people don't realize is that empathic mirroring gives the Sigma empath incredible insight into human nature. They see how people use emotion as currency, how moods shift with intention, how vulnerability can be both a truth and a weapon. But instead of exploiting that awareness, they use it for healing, for understanding, for silent growth. To others, it looks like intuition. To them, it's pattern recognition wrapped in empathy, a mirror that reflects not just who someone is, but who they could be if they faced their truth. And that's why narcissists fear them, why manipulators can't deceive them, and why genuine souls feel safe in their presence. The Sigma empath doesn't just see you, they become you long enough to understand what even you've forgotten to feel. Calm observation, power in stillness. The Sigma empath's greatest strength isn't in their words, it's in their stillness. While others rush to speak, to defend, or to react, the Sigma empath observes. They don't interrupt emotion with noise, they let it unfold in silence. That silence unnerves people who live on control because it cannot be manipulated. The Sigma empath calm isn't passive, it's strategic. It's the still surface of deep water, concealing layers of emotional intelligence and analysis beneath. When chaos erupts around them, they don't absorb the panic, they watch it. They study how people reveal their truth when the mask slips, how voices rise to hide guilt, how eyes shift when fear takes over, how tone betrays intention. Their calmness becomes an X-ray, exposing what others try to bury beneath performance. The Sigma empath knows that every outburst, every defensive laugh, every subtle hesitation is a clue. And so they say less and see more. But make no mistake, their calm is not weakness, it's control. Emotional self-control that has been carved through years of learning what happens when they don't stay centered. They've lived through emotional storms, absorbing energy that wasn't theirs, getting lost in empathy that left them drained. Now, their stillness is a boundary, a statement that says, you can project, but you can't penetrate. It's how they maintain power in rooms where others compete for dominance. What most people misinterpret as indifference is actually deep engagement. They're not ignoring, they're collecting data, connecting dots, and understanding motives before making a move. When they finally speak, their words land like precision strikes, calm, factual, and impossible to argue with. That's what makes the Sigma empath intimidating without trying to be. They've mastered the art of emotional Aikido, using another person's energy, not fighting it. In their stillness lies the power to redirect, disarm, and reveal. The Sigma empath knows that real influence doesn't come from controlling others, but from controlling oneself. Their calm observation allows them to stay steps ahead, to see outcomes before others even sense a shift. And that's their quiet victory, power earned not through dominance, but through awareness. Authenticity detection. Truth vibrates differently. A Sigma empath doesn't just hear what you say, they feel what you mean. Truth and lies carry different frequencies, and the Sigma empath has spent a lifetime fine-tuning their inner radar to tell them apart. They can sense when someone's words are polished but hollow, when a smile feels rehearsed, or when kindness hides calculation. It's not magic, it's emotional physics. Truth vibrates with peace, deception vibrates with tension, and the Sigma empath's nervous system feels that difference like a subtle electric pulse. This ability to detect authenticity makes them both powerful and lonely. In a world addicted to pretending, they crave the raw, the unfiltered, the real. They'd rather sit in silence with someone honest than drown in small talk with someone fake. Their empathy is selective now, not because they lack compassion, but because they've learned that misplaced compassion becomes self-betrayal. They no longer rush to comfort, they observe first. Does the pain come from honesty or performance, from regret or manipulation? Their intuition answers before logic ever needs to. The Sigma empath's truth detection isn't limited to words. It's in micro-expressions, tone shifts, eye contact that lingers too long or avoids too much. They feel truth in the stillness between sentences, in how energy expands or contracts around a person. They pick up on contradictions, the way someone claims confidence but radiates insecurity, or preaches humility but vibrates with ego. And when they sense that dissonance, they don't confront, they adjust. They withdraw emotionally, protecting their peace before deception can touch it. To outsiders, this looks like coldness or distance, but it's not. It's precision. The Sigma empath's calm detachment is the product of 1,000 emotional autopsies, times they ignored their gut and paid the price. Now, they trust their inner signal more than any apology, explanation, or promise. What others mistake for paranoia is simply pattern recognition powered by deep sensitivity. They've learned that truth doesn't always come dressed in words. Sometimes it comes as a feeling in the chest, a tightening in the stomach, or a whisper in silence. And once they sense it, they never forget. The Sigma empath knows that authenticity isn't proven, it's felt. That's why they move quietly through the world, not seeking validation, just resonate. Because to them, real connection vibrates on a frequency that never lies. Energetic boundaries, knowing without absorbing. The Sigma empath's evolution begins the moment they realize that understanding someone doesn't mean carrying them. For years, they mistook deep empathy for emotional responsibility, believing that feeling another's pain was somehow an act of love. But experience taught them that compassion without boundaries is self-destruction disguised as kindness. Now, they move through the world with emotional clarity, sensing everything, but no longer letting it all enter. They can walk into a room and immediately feel who's anxious, who's pretending, who's lost, yet none of it sticks the way it used to. That's the art of energetic boundaries. They've learned to let emotions pass through them, like wind through an open window, instead of letting those feelings settle like dust. Their awareness is still razor sharp, but now it's shielded by intention. They listen without internalizing, care without collapsing, and help without losing themselves in the process. This ability is what makes Sigma empaths powerful. They remain aware without being affected. They can see manipulation forming and let it die in silence. They can feel sadness near them and choose not to absorb it. It's not indifference, it's discipline. Because they know empathy without control turns into chaos, and chaos feeds the very people who drain them. So instead, they master emotional detachment not as defense, but as emotional hygiene. People often misunderstand this shift. They think the Sigma empath has grown cold, detached, or distant, but what they've actually grown into is balance. They've learned that absorbing everyone's pain doesn't heal the world, it just wounds them. Now they radiate calm without carrying the world's weight, offering comfort without depleting their own soul. And this boundary isn't visible, it's energetic. It's the invisible shield between perception and participation. They can still feel the suffering around them, but it no longer defines them. Their heart remains open, but their energy remains sovereign. That's how they protect their peace, their intuition, and their power. In a world where everyone demands emotional access, the Sigma empath's refusal to absorb is revolutionary. They've realized that the purest form of empathy isn't drowning with someone, it's showing them how to swim while standing firmly on their own shore. The emotional advantage, seeing reality, not masks. The Sigma empath's greatest gift, and sometimes their greatest curse, is their ability to see beyond the surface. Where others are distracted by charm, status, or words, the Sigma empath looks deeper. They see the flicker behind the smile, the hesitation behind the confidence, and the emptiness behind the performance. For them, masks aren't convincing, they're transparent. This is the emotional advantage they carry through life, an ability to perceive truth even when the world is busy worshiping illusions. They don't fall for appearances because they feel energy, not image. A person's words may say one thing, but their energy tells the story that matters. The Sigma empath notices it all. The quick change in tone when honesty fades, the subtle deflection when guilt rises, the discomfort and laughter that's meant to hide fear. It's not judgment, it's recognition. They've spent years decoding human nature, not out of choice, but out of survival. They had to understand people to protect themselves. And now that understanding gives them power. Not the loud kind, not the kind that seeks to dominate, but the quiet confidence of someone who cannot be fooled twice. When others are manipulated by emotion or dazzled by appearances, the Sigma empath remains still. They know what's real. They see intentions before actions, patterns before betrayal, endings before the first red flag even waves. It's not cynicism, it's clarity. And that clarity gives them control over their own energy, their choices, and their direction in life. This emotional X-ray vision changes how they love, how they trust, and how they move. They no longer chase validation or force connection. They let authenticity come to them. They would rather stand alone in truth than be surrounded by comfortable lies. That's why Sigma empaths often seem distant or hard to read. They're not detached, they're discerning. They operate on a frequency where masks can't survive. Their emotional advantage isn't about exposing others, it's about protecting peace. Because once you see reality as it is, not as it's presented, you no longer fear deception, you rise above it. The Sigma empath doesn't need revenge, confrontation, or approval. They win by seeing clearly and walking quietly. At some point, the Sigma empath stops explaining how they see the world because the truth no longer needs defending. When you've learned to see beyond masks, you realize peace comes from perception, not permission. You stop waiting for people to understand you and start choosing the ones who already do. That's when your empathy transforms from a weakness into quiet power, the kind that doesn't need to be loud to be felt. If this message resonates with the way you see and feel the world, remember, that's not a flaw, that's your gift. Your awareness is what sets you apart in a world built on pretending. Protect it, nurture it, and never apologize for it. We've just seen what makes Sigma empaths the most emotionally intelligent people alive, calm on the outside, but awake on the inside. If you felt something real watching this, take a second to support Brainy Empath. Subscribe so more people like you can find this space, a space for emotional clarity, strength, and truth. And tell me in the comments, do you ever feel like you see through people faster than you want to? I'd love to hear how you deal with it. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to read today.